Hey everyone, look who I've got with me on my channel today. This is Ran from Flux, whose videos you've probably seen pop up in like the suggested feed next to mine. Do you want to introduce yourself, tell people what you do?
Yeah, hi, my name is Ran. I'm a designer based in Tel Aviv, Israel. I do mainly freelance design. I also have my own business, so I'm doing like product design for myself. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I post daily videos about how I work, what I struggle with, success, failures, and yeah, just random thoughts.
It's one of my favorite channels on YouTube, so I'm really excited that we're
That's so
filming
great
together.
to hear, because honestly, your channel was one of my inspirations to start mine. So
Stop. Okay, so I tweeted out asking what you'd be interested in hearing us talk about together, and a few people said they'd be really interested to hear about us talking about how our workflow and what's changed now that we're building our own websites. So I learned to code last year, and I now code my own pages in WordPress. You use Webflow now as part of your workflow, so you can take control of all of that part when working with clients.
Yep.
How's it been? What was your process before you learned to build your own sites?
Well, it usually was something like, if we're talking about something like 3 years ago, if your developer was high tech, they knew how to deal with Photoshop files. But if not, you'd have to recreate a spec doc with spacing and that stuff. I guess that is now solved with tools like Zeppelin and InVision and stuff like that. But I was still dependent on other people to actually realize my vision or my work, or when clients approach me to build a website, I would have to subcontract. And then I would be dependent on their availability or their skill. And that was, to me, that was really frustrating.
Yeah.
And so I found the perfect, I started to learn, HTML and CSS by myself, but I didn't really enjoy the process. And so for me, when I found out Webflow, that was the perfect solution for me to kind of execute on my own ideas. Now I can execute really much faster, because it even saves time, the communication with the developer.
Yeah, of course.
And it helps me make more money because I can, charge for design and development at the same time. And so,
true.
Yeah. So for me, it's invaluable. I could never go back. And actually, when I have clients who want to develop their own websites, I'm actually frustrated, because I know that, again, I'll have to deal with their
the spec
developers.
document and yeah.
Yeah. And I just finished a huge project with a big marketing website with 20 pages, and they wanted their own developer to do it on WordPress. And we had so much going back and forth, can you export me this icon, the SVG, PNG, spacing doesn't look right. And honestly, I was quite disappointed with the end result. And yeah, so that's why I don't like to trust other people with doing my work.
Yeah, I feel the same way, in that I feel when I used to work with developers, I've worked with amazing developers throughout my career, but just because they don't have the same design eye as I do,
it's true.
They'd build the page, they'd say it's finished, and I'd look at it and be like, this looks nothing like what I gave you. How can you think this is the same? So I really like being in control of the whole process now, and getting to it. It's only my fault, right, if it's not looking like the design.
Do you do all the WordPress development, everything?
Yeah. So I work within a theme that the other designer at ConvertKit, Dylan, set up. So there's a lot of the grid and base typography stuff that's already in place that I didn't have to start from scratch. But yeah, I code all of the templates myself, custom fields, all of that.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's been quite a learning curve, but I'm really glad that I did it. Would you advise other designers to learn to build their own stuff, whether it's coding, using a Webflow,
there's this kind of famous debate whether designers
learn to code? Yeah.
I don't think you should do anything that you don't want to, but I think it will be very beneficial for you to be able to do that. It will save you a lot of time. It's a valuable skill to know. It doesn't matter that I use Webflow, but to use Webflow, you have to understand the code, the
basics,
general concepts of HTML and CSS. So in a way, you have to learn to code to use Webflow properly. So I think, it's super, super valuable.
I think so too. My opinion on this, should designers learn to code, is that you don't need to be an expert, but you should have an understanding.
Exactly.
So you don't need to know how to write it from scratch. You more need, if you're speaking a language, you know how to read it rather than think of the vocabulary off the top of your head and speak it.
You know what? I think language is a great metaphor, because most languages, with just, let's say, 1,000 words, you can do 95% of the things. And so to get to those 1,000 words, or That's not very difficult. You don't have to be fluent and like a super developer that know how to do like interactive JavaScript like craziness. Just know the basics. You'll be able to do like 95% of the things.
And even if you're not building your own stuff, I think it really helps for communicating with the developer, right?
It's true. You know, I did like a personal project where I developed an iPhone app. Now, so for that, I learned like Objective-C to develop for iPhone. I will never do that again. I do not plan to develop, iPhone apps for my clients, but the fact that I do know the structure and the logic of how iPhone apps are being developed was tremendously valuable for all my communication with developers whenever I'm working with it. So it was worth learning it, even though I'm not going to be using it again, like literally writing the code.
Yeah, that makes sense. Someone asked on Twitter, do you think you're a unicorn?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that means.
That means a unicorn is if you're like a designer developer. I think it came about when that was rare, but I feel like it's not so rare anymore.
I know unicorn from like the startup world where it's like $1 billion company.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I wish I was $1 billion company.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. I wouldn't call myself a developer, even though I know how to develop. But it's just maybe it's like an identity thing. Totally. I'm like a designer first, so that's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree. But I like the concept of being a unicorn just because I like unicorns.
Unicorns are fun. $1 billion is fun as well.
All right, thank you for being here on my channel, Ran. This is so fun. We're going to film a video over on Ran's channel right now. What are we going to talk about?
I think how much fun we had here at the Epic Currents event.
Yeah, that sounds good. So if you want to hear about that, head on over and make sure you subscribe while you're there because, like I said, one of my favorite channels on YouTube, so you're probably going to like it.
See you guys.
Bye.